What kind of chicken is that?
The sniffer is an ancient mob. They loved plants and found seeds by sniffing the ground.
Minecraft Live 2022 is right around the corner, and with it comes another new mob vote, this time bringing the potential of the Sniffer, Rascal and Tough Golem. And I have to ask, why do Mojang keep doing this? In Minecraft's history, there have been 5 mob votes: the 2017 mob vote bringing the Phantom, the 2020 mob vote bringing the Glow Squid, the 2021 mob vote bringing the Allay, and now the 2022 mob vote. Now, I did say 5 earlier, and I do mean it. A lot of people don't actually know about this, but the Panda was actually brought into the game by a mob vote exclusively in China. For the purposes of this video, I won't be covering the Chinese mob vote because it doesn't really affect what I will be discussing, but I may do a separate video on that at some point. Regardless, people must love these things if they insist on constantly making them, right? Well, let's look at the 3 mobs brought into the game by the community, again not including the Panda. First of all, the Phantom. When the Phantom was first added to the game, people weren't amazed by its inclusions and additions to the game, but this was overshadowed by 1.13 being just an amazing update in practically every other way. But when looking at just the mob, it realistically adds nothing to the game. Its only real inclusion being the Phantom membrane, simply just replacing a pre-existing feature of repairing elytra with leather. Next is the Glow Squid, everyone's favourite mob. The Glow Squid was added in 1.17, and this time around the lack of content added was a lot more noticeable, with the update being a lot more controversial, with one of the main features of the update being pushed to 1.18 and another to 1.19. The Glow Squid itself does add glow ink, but that's it, that's literally it. An inclusion that the Minecraft community was very disappointed with. Finally, we have the Allay, also known as the bane of my existence. For those of you who don't know, I despise this thing. Whilst it generally is a little bit better received than the previous 2, I personally hate it more than the previous 2 combined. I'm sorry, I just hate this thing. A lot of features that were first thought to be included turned out to completely false, such as the idea of it duplicating items. So to be fair, it does tie in well with the theme of the Wild update. Granted, it does bring up some interesting potential for redstone sorting systems, but for all the effort you would have to go through to actually get enough allays to set it up, designs such as Impulse SVs would just be a lot easier to both build and maintain in the long run. This catches us up to the 2022 mob vote, and after the collective disappointment of these last mobs, this makes me wonder why Mojang insists on continuously doing this. The majority of people would agree that the last 3 mob vote winners are useless inclusions, so this brings me to the votes that people do like, the biome votes. There have been 2 biome votes in Minecraft history, the 2018 and 2019 ones, which resulted in the updates of the taiga, mountains and swamp biomes, with confirmed updates for the desert, savanna and badlands coming in later updates. One of the many reasons biome votes tend to work better is the fact that biome votes include multiple features that can appeal to people as opposed to the single mob. With more features, there's a lesser likelihood that the entire edition will be a disappointment. Another reason is the fact that Mojang have said in the past that the biomes that didn't win the first time around will be added in future updates, and this is exactly what happened in 1.19 with the addition of the mangrove swamp and frogs. And whilst people weren't thrilled with the Wild update, to be honest, this is more because of what we didn't get than what we did get, and what we did get was a pretty good addition in my opinion. To put it simply, mob votes just don't work, and I can see some simple ways to fix this. Either A, get rid of the mob votes completely and instead focus on biome votes. They still have mobs with them, and they bring a lot more content than the alternative. This would bring more content to the game, and therefore a lesser likelihood of people to be disappointed with a useless inclusion. This would make the development process longer, but quite frankly, I would rather a long wait for a decent sized update over a bland and mediocre updates every 6 months. Or the other option, B, do what is happening with the past biome votes, and instead of having it so it's one mob instead of the others, it just decides the order of priority of adding them. Like, I don't see why that isn't how it is right now. It's the same way the biome votes worked. This would also help reduce anger online, as people just get to play with the addition of all 3 mobs and make their judgments after being able to experience them themselves, not based solely on a 2-minute YouTube video. At the end of the day, the mob votes are Mojang's way of getting our input, which is a nice gesture, but could and should be implemented in a much better way than it has been. Another issue I had with the mob votes up until now is that they were Twitter exclusive, and when I started preparing for this video, that was a point I planned on addressing. However, Mojang have decided that for this year, voting in-game or in-launch would be a lot more beneficial. This way, everyone who wants to vote can win, and I think this is a good step in the right direction. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I will probably be making a video on the Chinese mob vote, so if you want to see that at some point, then make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video if you choose to watch it.